I heard one woman who sat in the driver's side say, "This is way better than my husband's Lotus."
Whoa, really? It's Chad with Drive the Lightning, the positively charged EV channel. We're going to talk to two Aptera ambassadors to get the inside scoop on what's happening with Aptera right now. Both of these individuals are also very serious investors. I don't think they mind me saying that. They've been public about it. But they were recently with Aptera in San Francisco at an event for investors and for some of the public to see the vehicle. So they got some details that I don't have. So let's talk to these guys. David Huerta from Texas and Jerry Molnar from California. Well, Jerry and Dave, thank you so much for taking time to do this, to give us kind of an inside idea of what's been going on with Aptera, because you've been with the team a lot more recently than I have. You were just there last weekend in San Francisco, and we can't wait to hear what's up. So thank you both. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey,
Our
Jerry.
pleasure.
Oh, thank you. Can I start with you, Jerry, and just ask, what is your relationship to Aptera?
Well, Helen and I are ambassadors and accelerator investors. We've been to the factory twice. Our most recent visit was August of last year, and then when they had the Gamma reveal in 2022.
Okay, great. Dave, what about you? What's your relationship with this company, Aptera Motors?
Investor, ambassador, accelerator. Get to go to do a lot of events with them. So I've driven in Gamma twice. Got a couple trips around places in Gamma. And I just love hanging out with the team and learning the technology, and really just all the people that I've met through the whole Aptera network, like you guys, it's just been amazing. So this is actually just a wonderful group of people. And everybody at Aptera is awesome. Like I love, like every time I meet someone, you know why they work there, because they're just like Aptera people.
Oh, that's cool. Well,
absolutely, I agree with what Dave just said, 120%.
It sounds like we're talking to the right people. So if I could, Jerry, let's go back to you. You went to the San Francisco event that was set up for investors and for people to actually see the Aptera, because so many people have already invested without ever even seeing a prototype of the car. What was your impression of what you saw in San Francisco, Jerry?
Well, I was kind of surprised that most people, when you asked, I talked to a lot of people there. I talked to so many people, I was forced at the end of the day. And most of the people, when I asked them what they thought of the car having three wheels, a lot of them said, "Oh, it has three wheels." They didn't even notice. And then when I asked them, "Well, what do you think of it having three wheels?" Like, I guess I don't care. And then the other thing that surprised me was I said, I would ask people, "So what do you think of the size of this car? Do you think it's too small?" And with the exception of maybe one or two people, most everybody said, "No, I don't think it's too small. In fact, I think it's much bigger than I thought it would be."
Oh, that's interesting.
And then they would invariably ask me, "Well, what's the price of this car?" And I'd say, "Well, what do you think is the price of this car?" And almost everybody without exception said between $80,000 and $100,000. And then I said, "Well, what would you say if I told you they're targeting mid-30s for the price?" And they would look surprised, and they would say, "That's fantastic. I would never guessed it would cost that price."
Wow. What about you, Dave? What kind of people did you talk to in San Francisco? What was your feeling of the overall vibe of the crowd there?
So my job was to man the line for the passenger side door. So I know you've seen videos with Drew and a lot of people manning the driver's side, which the line was crazy. So I just had random people coming up, just coming in and stopping out. And a lot of them had, did not know Aptera, or, were investors and had not seen the Aptera. So they were excited to see this vehicle and getting to sit in it and just seeing how it functions. I think a lot of people were really surprised, especially with the size. There was a woman who brought an oar for and she stuck a 9-foot oar like all the way through, and it fit in the Aptera. And that's in Gamma, so there's another 6 to 8 inches to be had in the PI. So when she gets that one, like that oar is going to fit in with no problem. So there was a group of young people that they were joking about camping in it, and they were like, "Oh yeah." I said, "Hold on a second." So I go and ask Chris M. I said, "Do you mind if these kids get in the back?" And he's like, "Oh no." So the kids all crawled in the back, and they were all having a great time. And then there was a journalist that I sent to you that was in a wheelchair, and he was getting in and out of it, and he was there with his wife. So it was just a really great group of people, like all kinds of walks of life and ages and just everything. So it was a really, really great experience.
That journalist you're talking about, Bob Vogel, I'm going to be recording an interview with him tomorrow. I'm looking forward to
Oh,
that. Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you for
I'll
that
send him
lead.
my regards, because he and his wife were so nice.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to hear his experience. So overall, either one of you, feel free to answer. You saw the line, you saw the faces. I didn't get to see any of that. Did it appear to you like the company is really getting momentum now, as people get to see this vehicle in the wild?
Absolutely.
That's what it looked like in the videos you sent me, the line around the corner.
The car attracted a lot of attention on the street. Cars would slow down all the time, stop, take pictures, ask questions. We try to answer the questions without stopping the traffic too much. There was I mean, it literally was a traffic stopper.
Wow. Dave,
That's so true.
you rode in it at night, and I was curious, what did the visibility look like from the headlight setup sitting in the passenger side car when it was dark out?
I mean, I was on a street, so but I thought it was great. Like
Okay.
I mean, first of all, I've told you before, that visibility, it's like sitting in a bubble. The visibility is fantastic. So,
Wow.
and just thinking the PI builds, that those pillars are going to be even slimmer. So that's going to be just a little bit more visibility. But within I mean, I've driven in cars with much bigger A pillars. So this thing it is almost cockpit like. So it really gives you that good forward view. And then with the review mirror being a camera, it's going to be a great setup.
Awesome. What was that, Jerry?
And Helen was helping people in on a driver's side, and I was kind of there a few times and listening to comments. And a lot of the people, and I mean, I'd say the majority of them, the first reaction that we got when they sat and they go, "Oh, wow, this is way better visibility than I imagined it would be."
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's so cool. I want to touch on this really briefly. I don't want to beat this point to death, but you both are aware that there's a lawsuit about a patent lawsuit, maybe the design of the car itself. Do you see that? Because I'm so far away here in Michigan, I can't get a feel for how people feel about that. Is that looking like a dark cloud over Aptera? Does it feel like a big delay in expense? Or is it something you think is just going to, what's the vibe with the team?
I mean, for me, I think the team knows exactly what it is. It's a patent troll, right? Someone
Okay.
just bought a part of this IP, and it's like if you went to a garage sale and you bought something, and then now you're like, oh, look what I invented. I need something back on this. I think the higher investors understand that
Okay.
that's just part of how the world is going to be, right? I don't think anybody's going to be like, oh, I was going to invest $20 million, but now this little patent troll is coming. I think they invest in a lot of stuff, and I'm sure they see that all the time. So um,
Okay.
I don't think anybody's all really that concerned. It's, you know, it's just it's one other small bump on the road, but it kind of is what it is.
That's the
And,
insights that I didn't
and the
understand. Go ahead, Jerry.
and the attorney that Steve interviewed on his channel, who does a lot of this work, she stated a couple times she didn't think it was any big deal.
Okay, good. Well, it's good to hear from you guys. You know, I've invested a little tiny amount, and it didn't send shockwaves through me, you know, but I don't
Yeah.
understand these things like people who invest more money in things do. So thank you. And that's about all the time we need to spend on that whole part of it. I just really wanted your insights.
Helen wants to say something. Hold on.
Just real quick, Chad, from the little peep squad here. We went to the weekend, we were so hyped up, we thought to ourselves that if we could invest more money, we would. So obviously the lawsuit isn't scaring us from
Good.
giving more money.
Yeah, in fact, our biggest regret now is that we didn't invest more money.
Damn us.
That's our biggest regret
I'm in
right
that
now.
same boat. I was like, why
Yeah.
wasn't I smart enough when it was at 30 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't
So-
know about it then. I would have been
Yeah.
fantastic.
The
Well,
lawsuit is not scary. There you
That's
go.
very good insights. I really, really do appreciate that. Those are all
And the
great
team
insights.
doesn't seem worried, concerned at all about it.
Good.
And I trust their judgment.
Yeah, good. Well, it's good to hear. Okay, so when it comes to pricing, Jerry, you said early on you were telling people, and I know the target is mid 30s, but realistically, when it comes to the launch edition, you know, you guys are in line for these first 2,000, one of these first 2,000 Apteras. I'm not guessing we're going to expect to see that mid 30s for the launch edition, at least the accelerators. Am I off on that? Because I'm feeling somewhere around 44. 1,000. This is just based on the few things I've picked up and the fact that it hasn't been established. Am I wrong, or do we really think it's going to come in at 35 when this thing launches?
What do you
Jerry,
think,
can we
Dave?
start? Yeah, start with Dave.
Oh, you
I
want?
mean, we were all talking 35 and with the launch edition specs on the windshield.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That was mentioned all day long by both Chris's that they sounded pretty confident they were going to come in mid-30s. That's what they were telling everybody was mid-30s.
And if you go
be
back
great.
and spec the original Aptera that we all originally spec'd, if you spec'd the 400-mile range with everything on it, full solar and just two-wheel drive, you were already starting to knock on the mid-30s. So
Right.
it's not far off from where they were before. So I mean, I think it's right in line. There's not some crazy jump. So
Okay.
things are looking good.
I tell you, if in my opinion, if it's mid-30s, you're never going to be able to make these things fast enough to sell them. I mean,
For
everybody's going to
sure.
want this vehicle at anything under 40, in my opinion, for what it's worth. But mid-30s, I think it's a slam dunk.
In
You know,
fact, in fact, Chad, some of the people that I talked to said they would buy it in a heartbeat at mid-30s. In fact, they thought it was a screaming deal at mid-30s.
yeah. So is there though? Let's just be devil's advocate for just 10 seconds here. If it came in closer to 50 for that first 2,000 for you want to invest in serious money, is that too high? Do you end up waiting for it to come down, or do you pull the trigger? Or would
That's
you
a
rather
That's a
tough
not
tough
one.
call.
say? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
a tough one.
you
I'd
know,
say
a lot
wait.
of people are going to flip the
Helen just
first
said I'd
couple
wait.
hundred.
Helen,
You
we
know, the
wait.
first couple hundred are going to flip. People are going to want them. They're going to get them, and they'll flip the first couple hundred. But let's see where that kind of settles at. But I think they know what they're doing. They've the expensive part is already done. All the dies that was a huge expense, right? I mean, you still have to pay for batteries and all that, but the heavy lifting I think is pretty much done. And if they're more focused on hiring all these software engineers, I think that means the hardware is kind of done. You know, it might be a little tweak here and there. They might change the foam out in the seats, a little other odds and ends there. But I think as is the Bink is done.
It's awesome.
So
And
Wow.
that Bink was pretty impressive in person. That's the first time I've seen it in person. It was very impressive. And
yeah,
those production seats looked really, really nice.
Oh, that's so cool. So, Jerry, let me come to you now. Best guess now, and I know we don't know everything, and no one's asking for that. Best idea of timeline for these first 2,000 to roll out of Carlsbad and into people's driveways.
Well, alls I can say is that I overheard Chris Anthony talking to some people that said they were accelerator investors, and he said pretty much unequivocally that first half of 2025 would be accelerator vehicles. And they didn't seem,
Wow.
they usually preface it by saying, well, hopefully, maybe, but there was no hopefully, maybe.
Really?
Both Chris's were saying mid 2025 for the first couple hundred vehicles.
David Huerta, is that your takeaway too? Do you have a different thought?
no, I'm pretty much in the same boat with that because I think the real big wild card though for me was would Olafe be able to build 6,000 motors?
Right.
Right? And that's what you need for the all-wheel drive. You need 6,000 motors. And I always thought that was kind of a high bar, and maybe they would have to figure it out. But I think Aptera's known all along that that may not be an ability, and that's why they built it in for the other motor. And it was just an easy swap, and you can order one of those motors online and have it tomorrow. So if they need 3,000 of those things tomorrow, they could have 3,000 of those things delivered tomorrow. So I think
Wow.
that with the seats, with the Bink, with the body parts, with the solar, all the parts and pieces that are already ready, like you're not far away from having like Binks that are ready to drive. And then from that, it's ready to have production vehicles. So I think we're close.
That's pretty encouraging right there. That's good to hear. And we're gonna actually, because when I log into Aptera, it still says 2025. I'm not too terribly far behind the accelerators. I don't expect mine in 2025. I'll take it if it's ready in 2025.
Right?
But it's just good to hear, that you guys are encouraged because I know you got your fingers on the pulse. Anything else, Jerry, that you would tell somebody, let's say they just Googled Aptera or solar car and they come across a video like this and this is their first chance to learn about this car, what would you as an ambassador and an investor tell somebody to get them excited about where the company is now and give them confidence of where it's going?
Well, I'd say that where they've gotten now is that was way farther than they got the first time around. And looking at the bank and the gamma and how both Chris's were talking, I'd say it's, if I had to give it a probability, I'd say we're 99% certain that they're going to be delivering the first vehicles first half of 2025.
Wow. Dave, what about you, Mr. Huerta?
Yeah, I mean, if someone's just coming to this channel for the first time, and you're looking at a vehicle that no one else is doing, right? There's the Polaris Slingshot, which is a 3-wheel drive vehicle, fun and sporty, but no air conditioning, not comfortable, not a great, I mean, it's a great weekend car, but not a great everyday car. And now this is a solution that's not only going to give you 400 miles of range, possibly 40 miles a day of free charging from the sun. That's going to give you the ability, if you want to do Amazon last mile delivery or Uber delivery, this is a vehicle that would, or Uber Eats, this would pay for itself, right? You can drive around all day long, very minimal costs. It's just kind of a paradigm change in vehicles, right? It's something completely different. And if you want something completely different, this is the car to try, or vehicle.
Well, you sold me.
There was a young lady with her son, and his name was Wesley. So I hope he's watching this. And
Hi,
Wesley
Wesley.
told me he was going to make the first electric monster truck.
Ooh.
So I was like, you're the guy that we need to come in here. And so he came in and sat in the vehicle. And I was like, this car is built for you. Like, this car is for you. So hopefully, Wesley, you're watching this, and I can't wait to take a ride in your electric monster truck. So you owe me a ride. I just want to say.
Yeah, Wesley, and we'll have you on when you have your prototype. Go ahead,
I heard
Jerry.
one woman who sat in the driver's side say, this is way better than my husband's Lotus.
Whoa, really? Wow. I know it's way better than my Nissan Leaf.
I mean, I think people are just astounded, and it is hard to believe that a car that looks like this has the kind of performance it should have, the kind of driving, but yet is so cheap to buy and own. I mean, that was the thing that blew most people away that saw it in person. And I don't think the pictures do that justice.
Right.
That's what most people said. I've seen this in pictures, and I heard a lot of people say, but they said when you see this thing in real, it's very different than when you see it in pictures. It's just a completely different experience that blows you away. And then when they tell you it's, mid 30,000, they're like, well, this thing is a steal. I heard Chris M saying repeatedly, he didn't even say mid 30s. He just said 35,000.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And thank you, Dave, for being here. I know our channel members and I know our subscribers really appreciate hearing from you both to get a little bit of an inside take. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you so much to the members of the channel. You keep the wheels churning on the Positively Charged EV channel, and the Mug Club members. You mugs want mugs so Sarah and I can get back to California for some coverage very soon as Aptera begins to roll the production intent vehicles down the road. Thank you. Here's another video you might want to watch right here. A little bit more information about the solar-powered electric car of the future.